Hey there! Today we're going to talk about a pen I got some review requests for. I think it's an interesting pen. I got this for £11.70 at the website cultpens.com. I think it's an interesting price. It's a fascinating pen too for what you pay, and I'm talking about the Schneider B.R.E. I got it in this little blister box. You open it up, which isn't easy. Take out the pen. The box, I mean, it tells you it's a fountain pen with an ergonomic soft grip zone and a high quality stainless steel iridium nibbed tip. I would say iridium tipped nib, but it says iridium nibbed tip. Okay, it's sorry, it's made by Schneider Schreibgeräte in Schramberg in Germany, and it's an interesting pen. The first thing I thought when I saw this is Lamy Safari. Maybe that's because I have, shiny black Safari, and the Schneider base is a shiny black pen too. But maybe a shootout between the two pens is in order at some point. Okay, I'll cover the parts of the pen, tell you what I like about it, what I don't like about it, and then I'll do the writing sample. Let's start with the cap. Let's start with the pen overall. It has some interesting features going for it. Let me just do a brief sort of close-up thing there. And I find it a fascinating design. So if we start with the cap, on top of the cap there's nothing, just a little black thing. It's shiny, it's reflective, and then we've got some lettering, which you probably just saw. It says Schneider, made in Germany. It has the Schneider logo, and it has a B for broad. There's a little groove there, you probably just saw it, and that sort of goes into the clip. So you got this groove, and then you get the clip. The clip is very fascinating. It's a very interesting design. You can see that here. It's very big. It's like a ski slope, and I kind of enjoy it. I like the shape. It's original and it's funny. Okay, so that's pretty much all I can say about the cap. It's a slip cap, just slides on there, clicks on there. Then you have the barrel. Nothing too fancy going on with the barrel, apart from one bit of relief, sort of textured bit, which you see there. It's only there. You see, as I turn it around, it's not that any other place. And then you see one of those grooves again at the top there. And at the actual bottom, there's nothing, just blackness. All right. I may point out that on the clip there's actually that Schneider logo again, and that's pretty much all I can say about that. When you take off the cap, you get that grip section, which again I'd like to show you close up because it has a fascinating shape. It is ergonomically designed according to the box, and well, it looks ergonomically designed. And then you get the nib. Nothing too fancy there. It's a breather hole-less nib. Has the Schneider logo. I went for a broad. You have the feed, and that's pretty much all there's to it. There's a large ink hole at the bottom end of the feed. You see that big? That's a pretty big hole right there. I'm not sure whether you can use that to take out the feed and the nib. I haven't tried that yet. Okay, I unscrew the barrel. You get a converter. This is a Visconti converter. It's what I had lying around, and it fit well in the pen. And so it will take that. I think, yes, I think it came with two cartridges. One didn't actually have a bottom, so it was open. It's just a sort of a placeholder thing that they put in there. And then there was another cartridge, a regular cartridge with ink that you can put in there, and that was Standard International, which is apparent from the Visconti converter, which fits in there. So you can put in your Standard International short cartridges. The two of them were in the barrel, so I suppose you can put in a Standard International long cartridge in there as well if you like. And that's, as to the ink supply. Okay, when you screw the barrel back in place, it goes back to place, and then it sort of clicks. I'm not sure whether you can hear this, but it sort of clicks in place, and then the nib and this ribbed thing on the barrel are aligned, which I think is quite nice. Alright, a few words about that section. It is rubbery. It doesn't really feel like it's some type of covering that you could just cut off. That's sort of that you can move around a bit, if that makes any sense. It's on there fairly tightly. And that's pretty much all I can say about the pen design. When it comes to size, it's not a small pen. Unposted, I can use this quite comfortably. Posting is fairly interesting. The barrel has an odd shape. It's not really round. It's sort of flattened off in one bit, and the cap has that same shape going on. Now, when you align the two, then it sort of goes into place, but not extremely tightly. I cannot make this click in place or anything. And yet it is not so loose. I mean, it doesn't fall off, as you can see. But it's, for some reason, I would have preferred that this would click in place or something. This feels a little loose. But as I said, excuse me, as I said, it works. And that's the most important thing. If you want to post it, you got yourself a very decently sized pen. Alright. What do I like about it? What do I not like about it? Writing with this pen is fairly comfortable. The nib was surprisingly smooth, which I enjoyed. It gives a touch of feedback, but not in a bad way. It's not scratchy. It's just you feel that you are writing, and I know that some people enjoy that. That's something I like. In general, I like the overall looks. You can get them all. I think you can also get them in like a neon yellow color. I went for the black version. I think it's nice. I think it looks fairly classy. And as I said, I mean, if you look at the Lamy Safari, it's a bit like that. I mean, there are some similarities there. But I mean, I'm not saying it's a knockoff or anything, because it's not. But there are similarities. I like the way it writes. I like the way it feels. Yes, it's plastic. It's very light. It's portable. It's a knockabout pen. You take this with you. Someone stands on it. Too bad. You haven't lost a whole lot of money. If you lose it, it gets stolen or whatever. It's not a huge issue. But it is a reliable writer. I suppose you could convert this to an eyedropper, because the whole barrel seems to be one bit of plastic. I don't find any holes in there. I haven't tried this. So if you're going to do it, try it with water first, because maybe ink will seep out from the nib or something. Sometimes that happens. So I like that. Things I don't really like. Well, there are two things. There is, of course, that cap issue with the posting. I don't mind so much. I mean, it's not the tightest connection we have, but it's tight enough not to fly off, so that's okay. Two things I don't really like. One is this clip. The clip is interesting. It's nice. It's fairly springy, but I get an issue with that. Let me see. Here I have my pen pouch. Okay, this is my daily carry pen pouch. The problem with this oddly shaped clip is that if I put it in my pen pouch, which works, I've got this little band here. You may see it sort of gets snagged, and when you try to close this up like this, and you sort of have to go past that clip that really sticks out, and that I don't like it. I don't think that's a great idea. Then again, I'm sure that if you just put this in a shirt pocket or something, it's less of an issue. It's really with these pouches that have a little band, that I guess that's a lot of them, that may be an issue. Alright, the final thing I don't really like, and this is something that does annoy me a bit, is that I'm not an engineer or anything, but they did something creating that section. You see this weird thing on there? I'm sure it has something to do with the molding, or I don't know, or they grip it in the factory or whatever, but it's pretty sharp. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not going to cut into your skin, it's not going to make you bleed, but when I move it across my finger, I do feel a sharp point. And when you hold the pen as you're supposed to hold it, so it's at this point, this very point, you see? When you hold the pen as it's supposed to be held, like this, you don't feel it. But for people like me, who tend to hold their pen a little higher, that means that little nub is right on top of my finger, and I feel it all the time as I write. So again, I guess it's a minor gripe, because if you hold the pen lower, it's not an issue, and I can do that. It's just that my preference is to hold it a bit higher, and then I get that issue. So that's what I don't really like about it. Apart from that, I think for the money you spend, you get a really nice pen, and That's all there's to it. One thing I'd like to do before I do the writing sample is use my calipers. Dear Bill gave me some calipers and he said maybe that's useful, and it is useful. So I do a quick measurement. I'm not very smooth with this, but I want to do this during the videos. Okay, I get 143 millimeters length for the pen. Capped, uncapped. Ooh, exciting. Yep, I get about 123 for them uncapped, and I think what's the most relevant is the measuring of the grip section. At the finest point, the diameter is about 10 millimeters. At the widest point, it's 12 millimeters. So there you have it. I hope you don't find this boring, but I get a lot of questions about these measurements, so this is how it's going to be. And maybe, I don't know, total... Okay, so the barrel itself is 12 millimeters. Well, there you have it. Okay, so now we're going to do a writing sample. I hope this was useful, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye. Okay, so here we go with the Schneider base. The nib is broad, the ink is diamine pumpkin. Well, that's undeniably pumpkin, I would say. It's a very orange ink. Okay, let's do a bit of writing. Writing is pretty smooth. I enjoy the sensation of the nib. It gives some type of feedback, but it's not scratchy. That's not the right word. It really is a bit of feedback, I would say. Maybe we should do some fast writing and see how well the feed keeps up. Looks good to me. I don't see any skipping or skidding or whatever, so that's pretty good. Now I think we should have a look at some line variation. What can we squeeze out? So given some pressure, the tines will definitely open up a bit, but this is a pretty rigid nib. It doesn't have a breather hole. I'm not sure whether that's really actually of any influence. I just wanted to say that. It's fairly rigid. Don't expect an extreme amount of line variation, but if it's absolutely necessary, you can squeeze some out if you really need it. Okay, what about wetness? Of course, wetness depends on the paper and on the ink you use, but in all, I would say this pen lays down a nice even patch of ink that is fairly wet, as you can see there. Alright, and there a bit. And, I think that kind of concludes it. So, I hope this was useful. And, I'll see you later. Bye-bye.